This is Glasgow's Ibrox Stadium, home to Rangers. I'm here to talk to manager Walter Smith. Now, you've been at Rangers a long time, and in domestic football you've been there, done it, bought the t-shirt. Does working here still excite you?
Oh, I think so. I think when you see the size of the place, the reaction from people, the school holidays just now, the place is full of kids and things. It's still a great reaction, and you yourself, when you come in the morning, you always look forward to it.
Has it changed a lot in the time that you've been here?
Changed quite a bit. When Graeme Souness became manager, I came as his assistant for the first 5 years, and there were big changes initially. When he came, we started getting built up from England, getting Terry Butcher and Chris Woods. That made a big difference to us. And after that, we've continued that policy, and the club's been successful, especially in the domestic front, over the last 10 years or so.
Does that change the relationship with the fans a little bit? Because if you look at Rangers 20 or certainly 30 years ago, say in John Gregg's day, it was tended to be 11 Scots with a Scottish manager and a very, very tight feel between the supporters and the team. Has that changed when you bring the Brian Laudrups and English players in?
Yeah, I think it changes a little bit, but they're all Rangers, that's the thing. And I think any of the lads that come here, they soon get a close affinity with the club, there's no doubt about that. When they come at first, it's maybe a bit strange. Then, all of a sudden they realise that each of the home games we have, there's 50,000 people here. Wherever they go in Scotland, they're recognised as being a Rangers player. They soon realise exactly what it means to play for the club, and it is a difficult club to play for.
On domestic front, Rangers have been the dominant force in Scottish football for 10 years. But on European things, it's gone a little bit pear-shaped. Now in England, the press are very ready to say, well, it's because it's not very competitive up there. How can they compete in Europe? Does that strike any chord with you? Can you see any reason why Scottish clubs can't succeed in Europe?
No, I think the thing about the Scottish clubs is it's been shown historically, we have to have our best teams if we're going to compete in the European stage. Like 4 or 5 years ago, we had a really good team here, and I stressed teamwork. We had a really good team. They were together, and we had our best run in Europe in the club's history. We nearly got to the European Cup final. So that was one season there. We've never really been able to sustain that, but in the history of Scottish football, that's always been the same. We can produce teams who can do well. Aberdeen have won the Cup Winners' Cup, Rangers the Cup Winners' Cup. We go back 30 years, Celtic European Cup final. They won that, then got to the final a couple of years later. So when we've had our strongest teams, we've been able to compete. But I think being such a small country, that we've not had the choice of players to keep us at a successful European level as maybe the bigger countries like England.
Now, football these days, Walter, very much driven by money, and certainly down south of the border, this definite look upwards and say, Rangers, Celtic, look at the crowds they get, look at their pulling power. Wouldn't it be lovely if they could play the Manchester Uniteds, the Liverpools and the Arsenals of this world on a regular basis? Can you ever see that happening?
I don't see it happening, no, I don't. I think the English Premiership is a terrific league. I think that the people down there, they don't really need Rangers and Celtic. They've got the league going themselves, and I don't see that happening from our point of view. It would be nice to think that at some stage we could go down and compete with the Manchester Uniteds and the Liverpools and the Evertons, and I'm sure that anybody that knows Rangers and Celtic would know that they, given a couple of years to settle in, they would certainly do that. And it's just a shame that I don't see a situation arising. I would see possibly the formation of European leagues before we're able to do a British league.
Would you fancy that, a European league? How about having a league match on a Saturday at Ibrox with Barcelona?
Right, well, we need to improve our present record, otherwise we'd be at the bottom of it.
On a personal level, Walter, you exist in what is a real goldfish bowl of football. The intensity of the support up in Glasgow is phenomenal. Do you ever get to the point where you say, I could kick this over, where you might put your answer machine on and get Bing Crosby singing Gone Fishing?
I think there's obviously certain stages, especially a couple of bad results, that happens. But it soon clears away. You've soon got another game to think about. And really, if you're going to operate at clubs, I think the thing is to try and operate with clubs that are at the top level in the country, whichever country you're involved in. If you're down in England, you would want to be involved with the top 6 clubs. Up here, you want to be involved with Rangers and Celtic, and I'm fortunate enough to have been involved with Rangers for 11 years now, so that pleases me, and I hope it can continue.
Just to finish, can we talk about Scotland qualifying for the World Cup? How important is that for the Scottish game, Walter?
Well, I think it is very important. As you've said, none of our clubs have managed to be successful on a European basis regularly, but the Scottish team have qualified for a World Cup on a regular basis, and although you get the cruel jokes at the fact that we go in and out. We are only a small country, and I think Craig's done a tremendous job getting us to France. And one of those World Cups, we're going to get out of the sectional basis into the quarter-finals, and I just hope it's this one.
And he's a pal of yours, Craig?
Yes, I know Craig quite well. We've had one or two escapades together.
But Walter, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Thanks for inviting us to Ibrox.
Well, thanks very much.